Ready, Jen?
I am.
Okay, then I will call to order the March 2nd meeting of the Northern Nevada Water Planning Commission with a roll call, please.
Okay. Danielle Henderson,
Here.
Michael Widmer, Bill Hauk, Michael Drinkwater, John Enlow,
Here.
John Flansburgh,
Here.
Mickey Hazelwood, John Martini,
Here.
John Combs,
Here.
Dave Solero,
Here.
Mervyn Wright, John Zimmerman.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, we'll move on to item number 2, public comment. Anyone in the public wishing to make a comment, I'll have 3 minutes. Jen, do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Thank you. Move on to agenda item number 3, approval of today's agenda, please.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Flansburgh, seconded by Commissioner, Dave,
Solero.
that guy, Solero, yeah. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Move on to item number 4, approval of the minutes from, we got a few here, the December 17th, the January 5th, and the January 19th, 2022 combination of Northern Nevada Water Planning Commission meetings and a joint meeting with the Western Region Water Commission. Before I call for a motion, does anyone have any comments or notes on the minutes before us? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion, please? Motion by Commissioner Zimmerman, seconded by Commissioner, the other John, Enlow. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Oh,
Aye.
We've got a public comment potentially.
Come on down, Mike.
So sorry, you're moving very fast. Michael Dimartini, and I'm here regarding this item, that's approval of the minutes. And regarding that, I just had a comment on the January 19th, 2022 minutes, and in particular, item 9. The staff report was extremely brief on that item. So I took it upon myself to make a verbatim few lines of exactly what was said at the meeting, included a paper copy of the exhibit that was presented. I'd just like those to be incorporated as part of the record. I appreciate that very much. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We have a motion and a second on the table. Do any of the commissioners wish to go backwards and incorporate the comments made into the record today?
Maybe I've got a question. So maybe Kim knows this question or not. That was really a discussion with the WRWC at the time. Do you know if these comments have been included in their approval of the agenda or the minutes?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was off. Yes, Kim Rigdon for the record. Those meeting minutes will be included in the March 16th meeting to the WRWC
Okay.
for approval. That was for the concurrent meeting.
Right. So it sounds like we're covered there.
Well, they'll be put into the record
Right.
regardless. So not hearing any desire to change the motion, I'll call for the vote again. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Move on to item number 5, report on McDonald Carano and some legal counsel changes. Kim?
Kim Rigdon for the record. Thank you, Chairman Martini. So some of you know and some of you may not know that Michael Pani, our legal counsel, has stepped into a new role with the De Loretto Companies. He's acquired a job as the Executive Vice President and General Counsel, so we're really happy for him in his movement forward. Michael was pretty instrumental in helping me adjust and understand how to run meetings and transition into my new role. So I just wanted to publicly thank him for assisting us with that and serving the Water Commission. And so that brings us to Lucas Valletta. Some of you met him as you were walking in. Lucas is with McDonald Corano, and he'll be taking over for Michael. Mr. Valletta is a partner and has extensive background in practicing in the energy, environment, and natural resources law sector, government affairs and advocacy, and gaming administrative law. He has previously served as general counsel to Governor Brian Sandoval and as an assistant United States attorney in the U.S. Attorney's Office, the District of Nevada office. I get tongue-tied saying that, I apologize. His experience and qualifications are extensive. I didn't want to go too much into his extensive professional background page that you can visit on McDonald and Corano's website if you're interested in his experience and background, but it's pretty impressive. So with that, Mr. Valletta, did you want to add anything?
Thank you. I don't know if that's on or not, but anyway, I'm looking forward to working with everybody. I know I've worked with some of you in the past. And as Kim indicated, my practice primarily is administrative law, so I've got a lot of experience working in front of government agencies, mostly at the state level, but some local government agencies as well. So with that, I look forward to working with everybody, and we anticipate that the transition will go smoothly. Thank you.
So with that, I'll turn it back over to the commission.
Thank you, Kim, and welcome. Okay, we'll move on to item number 6. Report on February 26, 2022 Palomino Farms Community Outreach. Kim, I'll turn it over to you, and I see that Mr. Enlow will be joining you.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Martini. So Commissioner Enlow was able to organize a public outreach event in Palomino Valley at, what was it called? The Ironwood Event Center, I think was the name of the location that we held it at. And he had invited many experts from our different agencies and from the Division of Water Resources, and many in the room were at that event. It was a very, very interesting event to attend. I think we got a lot of good questions. I was at a table with Jeremy Smith with Truckee Meadows Regional Planning, and Jim Smitherman was at the table with us so that we could address questions related to planning. I got a few questions related to water quality and what NDP permitting might look like, so it was nice to be there to be able to refer them to the Division of Environmental Protection folks, and they could get more information from them. So I just wanted to give an overview. I think the event will be really helpful in us better understanding what the public concerns are, some of the questions we're writing down, and creating some talking points so that we can give those to John for future events and be better able to address some of the public concerns. So that was my takeaway from the event. I know, John, did you want to provide some comments on the event as well?
Yeah, I just also wanted to thank Washoe County for having Eric Young there too. He was there to answer questions related to the county's area plan updates and that type of thing, and I think that was much appreciated because we've been getting questions related to that really aren't related to the proposed project. But I think having the state engineer representatives there was very helpful. We'd get questions about domestic well issues, so they were able to answer those. Lydia Teal, many of our hydrogeologists were there answering questions. So all in all, I think it was a successful event. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Back to you.
Thank you both. All right, we'll move on to item 7, action discussion, possible direction to staff on the draft fiscal year 2022-23 WRWC tentative budget. Kim?
Thank you, Chairman Martini. Kim Rigdon for the record. So many of you have seen our budget before, many times. I wanted to go through a few of the highlights for you. And so for those that may or may not be familiar with the timeline that we have, this is the tentative budget that will go to the WRWC on the 16th for approval, and then we'll submit it to the state for review and comment. They'll give us comments or not, depending on whether they think that things need to be addressed, and then we'll go ahead and hold a public hearing in May. May 19th at 9 a.m. is the WRWC public hearing date, and I believe that Tumwa is going to be right after us, and maybe the flood authority right before us, so they're trying to organize those meetings all together at the Sparks Chamber. So moving forward, if you take a look at page 1, you'll see that our total revenues, our total estimated revenues are a little over $1.7 million. Total expenses, a little over $2.7 million, and so we have a net change in cash reserves of approximately $1 million. And it looks like we're spending all of our cash, but I think that some of you are aware or may not be aware, Jim and I have been going through this, and I'm still wrapping my brain around how we budget and allocate all of our revenues so that they're allocated to our projects. And a lot of our projects are not always ready to go. Some of the projects may or may not invoice for specific, during that year. They may roll over into the next year. So this is a common denominator, is having a cash balance at the beginning of the fiscal year of about 1.8 million. And I checked that with previous budgets, and that seems to be a standard operating. We currently have about 2 million cash in our budget right now. So the estimated expenditures for fiscal year 22 are included. That's the purple box. So that's what we anticipate and have budgeted for continuing to spend the rest of this fiscal year, so that our cash balance as of July 1st would be $1.3 million. And then if you add that net cash reserves that we would have, we end up with $348,165 as our balance, and that covers approximately half a year of our normal operating expenses. So turning to page 2, this will look really familiar. This is the already approved by both boards professional services budget detail for fiscal year 23. And then on page 3, you'll see our routine operating budget. This is where I've made a few changes, and I'll talk about the tech development and services line item first. So the tech development and services line item, you'll see is approximately $50,000. And what I've done is I've removed the Truckee Meadows Regional Planning Agency line items that have been on the budgets previously, because those are now falling under the professional services budget, under that shared work program that we discussed in the past. So those won't fall under this budget. But what I'd like to do moving forward is I'm working on enhancing the program and, doing some visioning and facilitating some workshops with our partners so that I can update the website, maybe give us, the website a facelift. But I want to do that with our partners and make sure that we present the information in a way that's, a collaborative effort with all of us, so that we have some tools, some cool online GIS tools that maybe be interactive videos and things like that that will enhance the visibility of both the Water Planning Commission and Regional Water Commission. So that's my goal, and I'm hoping to use some of that budget to engage some help for that, to facilitate that. The next line item is Regional Water Management Plan Support Services. And there's a couple of things that this will help with, that will help us with reports that aren't generally, or maybe included as appendices, or things like Catherine Hansford with HEC, she does her memorandum. And that gives us a look at how the economy is going, how that's related to development fees, how that might translate and be used by the agencies for budget and fee development. And so I thought it might be a good idea. We got a lot of good feedback on that memorandum and the usefulness of it for the agencies. And I thought, rather than updating that every 5 years, Catherine Hansford and I talked about potentially being able to update that every couple of years, maybe in alignment with the consensus forecast. And it would give the agencies more up-to-date information to use in their budgeting process. So I was hoping that that would be something that could be paid for under this budget item. We also need to package the regional water management plan, so it could be used for that moving forward, and getting some assistance with that. So I just wanted to give you an idea of where my thought process is behind those two line items. And of course, at the top, the salaries and benefits for WRWC staff to remain providing the services. That'll include myself, Jim Smitherman. I would like to keep him on contract for a little longer, a lot longer. I'm in the process of hiring an assistant, and I think Jim would be instrumental in helping me not only wrap up the regional water management plan, but to continue to train and help me move forward with the training for a new staff person to help me out. So I kept that in the budget, and then Jennifer Pergut's administrative assistant position as well. So those are the 4 positions. And then on page 4, that is from the front page, the purple box that shows what our revenues will look like at the end of this fiscal year. So that's the proposed estimated expenditures through the end of this year, and it includes fiscal year 22's professional services contracts and our operational expenditures. So with that, that should all align with our estimated revenues and expenses. And with that, I would like to turn it over for questions from the commission.
Thank you, Kim. We do have a comment card, so we'll take some public comment on this item before we bring it back to the commission, please. Welcome, Mike.
Good afternoon again, Michael Dimartini. I just have a very brief comment on this item, and it relates to, I think, the $81,000 or thereabouts that's budgeted for professional legal counsel. The issue, I mean, that particular budgetary item, based on my memory, was previously on the order of, I think, $120,000 or $30,000, and which I think is more in line with what it should be. The reason I'm saying that is that there was previously a question of impropriety as relates to Mr. Panye and the firm that he was representing. And that situation, I don't think, has gone away with Mr. Panye's departure. So there's still an issue that's outstanding. I don't know what the answer is. There's still an issue outstanding as to whether there would be a question of impropriety. I don't know whether the firm, McDonald Carano, is still representing developers and even Tumwa, but I think that's an issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. All right, I'll bring item 7 back to the commission for discussion or a motion. Mr. Flansburgh.
Yeah, I've reviewed the budget. It's in line with what we had discussed previously. I think everything in here is reasonable for what we have, our work program that we have going forward. So I would make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2022-23 tentative budget and recommend to the WRWC to approve.
Okay, we've got a motion on the table by Commissioner Flansburgh. Do I have a second?
Second?
Seconded by Commissioner Solero. Any further comments? Kim, nice job getting it organized. And I'm sure picking that up, being sort of the new person was hard, but I really appreciated the way you put it all together for us, made it fast and easy, and job well done. Okay, with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you all. Motion carries. Go on to item number 8. Action, discussion, and possible direction to staff on the draft update to Chapter 7, Population Forecast and Projections of Water Demand, Peak Day Requirements, and Wastewater Flow. Mr. Smitherman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as you recall, your last meeting in January, I brought this item to you and commented that I had received some comments from Truckee Meadows Water Authority that I had not yet incorporated into the chapter. So my report today is on incorporation of those, and then my final kind of read through and clean up edits. So I'll direct your attention to section 7.3, which is where all the comments are. That's the water balance map section. So on page 7-9, I included a revision from Tumwa about the TROA-based water supply, which clarifies that the TROA supply consists of both Truckee River water and local groundwater, and combined it can meet a demand of 119,000 acre feet. So that just tries to make that as crystal clear as we can. It's what the 119,000 acre feet actually refers to. And then, let's see, on the map, I included new aquifer recharge numbers, also provided by Tumwa. And I'll note that the map now includes aquifer recharge at the American Flat project in Lemon Valley at 2,000 acre feet a year. That's a rough rounded up or rounded down number, actually. This is also briefly noted in the chapter text and in the table, and in Table 7.6, which follows the map in the chapter. And then speaking of the Table 7.6, it shows a little bit more detail than what's shown on the map. Revisions to that table are really for clarity and for consistency with the map. I wanted to make sure that the labels and the numbers were consistent and reflected one another. So that's really it, other than, a couple little typos that I picked up. And I would, once you have a chance to review this, recommend that you accept it as a working draft to be incorporated into the update of the Regional Water Management Plan. And if you've got any additional comments or revisions to suggest, the cement is still soft, so please just forward them this way, and we can bring it around one more time. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Smitherman. Okay, I'll bring it to the commission for comments. Mr. Enlow.
All right, Jim, I just had one quick one. I think it's quick. In the packet, there's 2 figure 7-1s. Is there a difference between the two?
There is, actually, thanks for bringing that up, John. The first one is the new map. The second one, it should have faintly through the middle of it, a horizontal red line that shows that one has been redlined out.
Oh, got it.
So that,
It's a blue line on mine, Jim.
it's blue, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, my version, it's red. But yeah, that's it. So you can see that the second map, and there's a date down in the lower right part of the title block too that shows the more recent date on the map is the correct one. And it's a little bit higher resolution copy of the map too, so you can read all the fine print.
All right, any additional comments? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve it as a working draft, subject to future revision.
Got a motion on the table by Commissioner Zimmerman. Do I have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Enlow. Any further discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Move on to item number 9. Report and discussion on draft modifications to Chapter 9, cost and financing for the 2040 RMP. Kim.
Thank you, Chairman Martini. Kim Rigdon for the record. So when we met in January on the 5th, we presented Chapter 9, and we got direction to bring that chapter back to this meeting. What we ended up doing was having a few meetings with a couple of our members and getting some feedback from them on, what some of the challenges were, and coming to the conclusion that some of the information was just too dated to include in this chapter for this particular update. We wanted to provide opportunity for all the agencies to provide updated budget or capital improvement information or fee information to ensure that the information is up to date for this chapter. So I just wanted to report to the board that Catherine Hansford, I've sent it on email to most of you, and Catherine Hansford is going to be getting in contact with everybody to try to figure out who would like to provide information and who's okay with the information that's included in the report. So it's just an update. And then we'll bring that back to the board. She needs that information by March 30th, I think, 30th or 31st is what I put in the email, so that she can have a month to incorporate that into the chapter, and we can bring it back to the commissions in May. And that should help us with our schedule. We should still be able to remain on schedule. So, and with that, I'll take questions from the commission.
Thank you. Any questions on agenda item number 9 from the commission? Anybody in Zoom line have questions? I keep forgetting our Zoom partners today. All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item 10, Program Manager's Report. Kim.
Thank you, Chairman Martini. Kim Rigdon for the record. So this will be a brief update. I included attachment 10A, and the only real change that we see on there is I've got all the projects kind of squared away. Everything's up to date, and the only project we have that's currently closed in the time that we met last time was the Truckee River Foundation One Truckee River project. They will pick back up again when the budget's approved on July 1st, 2023. So that project is complete. Other than that, the advanced water treatment project with UNR, that one will also be closed out fairly quickly here. Their project is complete. They've submitted the final report. It shows that there's budget left, so I keep it on there just in case. But that project is pretty much complete. And if there's any other questions on any of the other projects, one of the projects that I got some updates on was the Environmental Incentives Water Quality Crediting Program that the city is doing. Teresa Jones said they're moving forward with that. They're having a kickoff meeting in March at their Stormwater Planning Committee meeting. They intended to have that in January, but she said they were waiting for our Sparks representative to be able to be present at that meeting.
Come back from,
Yeah.
being deployed. Yep.
Yeah, so we welcomed him back. So, yeah, other than that, all the other projects are pretty much moving forward on schedule, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Kim. Any questions on item 10? Anyone in Zoom land have questions? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 11, discussion regarding location and possible agenda items for our next meeting. Kim?
Thank you, Chairman Martini. For the next meeting, I don't have a lot on the agenda. I think our next meeting will be, and I didn't write it down, I apologize. I do this every time. The calendar out. I couldn't remember.
April 6th?
I was gonna
April 5th,
say,
thank you,
beat me.
Jim, for saving me. So April 5th, or 6th,
Sixth.
April 6th, thank you. And at that meeting, we're planning on bringing Chapter 10 and or Chapter 4 and Chapter 10 of the Regional Water Management Plan. Probably has a project presentation. I'm trying to get some more of our projects to come forward and give us updates so that we kind of stay connected with the managers of those projects and the coordinators of those projects. So if there's not any other items that you want to bring forward for the board, I'm looking, turn it over to you for suggestions.
Any suggestions from the commission? Any comments? Anyone in Zoom land have, Commissioner Enlow, sorry.
Sorry, I just have a comment. Because Kim and Jim and I work on this effluent management planning, the guidance document. Is it worth providing some explanation on kind of our modified approach on that so everybody understands what they're going to get in April?
Let's see. In April, we'll get, Chapter 4 is on wastewater services, so that chapter will include a description of the wastewater treatment facilities, the 5 major wastewater treatment facilities, and what their plans are for the future, and maybe kind of highlights in what the CIP is, so that we know what's coming as far as those facilities themselves. And then, just as importantly, alternatives and capacities for effluent management. So that's really the main thrust of the effluent management planning guidance document that is probably 5 or 6 months away from being, released in a review draft. So it's going to be a kind of a short summary of the alternatives that we're looking at for analyzing in that guidance document. Is that kind of what you were thinking, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we're just going to try to hit the bare bones as far as what the effluent management alternatives and options are for each one of the facilities, and then including some regional concepts of effluent management where one or more of the entities would, or 2 or more of the entities would cooperate.
So if I'm hearing you right, Jim, to Commissioner Enlow's question, we're going to see that at the next meeting?
Yeah, you'll see
On the
the
effluent?
chapter 4, the shortened the executive summary version for incorporation into the regional water plan update.
Okay.
Okay,
Commissioner
so-
Enlow, does that handle it?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you weren't expecting to see the effluent management guidance document in
Okay.
April. So that will come back at a later date.
Yeah, in 6 months or so.
It'll go quickly.
Yes, it will.
All right, any other questions or comments on item 11? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item 12. Comments from the commissioners? Anybody have comments today? Any commissioners in Zoom land have comments?
So this is John Combs, General Manager of Sun Valley GID. I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead, John.
I'm retiring. Yes, I'm retiring the end of this month, and Chris Melton will be taking my place. It's been a pleasure to serve with all of you, and I wish you all the best.
Well, congratulations on making it to the Golden Road, John, and we'll miss you.
Yeah, I'll miss all of you too.
All right, any other comments from the commissioners today? All right, we'll move on to item 13, comments from staff. Kim, Jim?
No comments from Jim? Just maybe one comment. We're going to be looking at putting together our reappointments for fiscal year '23. I think a lot of the appointments on the board may be expiring in 2022. So we'll just be sending out some emails and getting some letters from you folks.
Great.
So, thanks.
That's it for staff comments?
No more staff comments.
Thank
Thank you,
Kim.
Chairman Martini.
I didn't want to cut you off before we moved on in the agenda.
I appreciate
Okay, that'll
that.
bring us to item 14, public comment. Anyone in the public wishing to make a comment has 3 minutes. Jen, do we have any cards?
I have none.
All right, seeing none, I'll move on to item 14 and 15, and without further business, we are adjourned. Thank you.